So, are you going to learn how to make a good iced coffee, or are you going to build iced coffees into your budget for the summer?
Hi, I'm Megan with Bethel Budgets. I'm here because it's more than just math. At some point, you've probably built a budget. You've laid out your income, you've laid out your expenses, and thought it's simple math. I'll just stick to what's on the paper. But then life happened and your budget didn't work out. The reason? Because it's more than just math. That's where I come in. Let's figure this out together. Don't give up. You've got this.
Hello, and welcome to our May Budget with Me video. I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to go through and do my May budget, but I'm also going to give 10 things that I want you to remember and think about when you're building your May budget. I've got here my Remarkable 2. This is my device that I keep everything on. I've got my planner, my budget, my meal plan, my notes, my notebooks, books that I'm reading for work. Everything is on here. So I'm going to click on my budget and we will get started. First, I'm going to start by plugging in my due dates and my planned income. I'm really excited because finally I've got my HSA. This is something I've been working on for like 3 Budget With Me videos. I have finally got my real numbers from getting my HSA taken out to fully fund throughout the year. So what I started off with the first time I did a Budget With Me video was a higher level of income here, and I've been trying to get my HSA fully funded, but I missed the deadline the first month, and then the second month the ticket request had gotten lost. So it's been a big fiasco trying to get this done. So I'm very excited to have a real number, and I'm not guessing, and it's actually going to go through this month. So I'm very excited. So we total up our income, and then we write that number down here at the bottom. 6958 is what I've got for income this month. And then we tithe 10% of that. So I'll put I put 696 to round up for that. What I would like to try to do this month is I want to try one of my goals, which I don't think I ever posted my goal video, which I will go look for that. I had to wipe my computer and restart, so I think some of my drafts videos got lost in that. So I need to post my goal video for this quarter, but my goal for this quarter is to get to where I can put 10% in my lump sums. So I'm going to start by trying to put 696 there. I don't know with this change up here that we can actually get that done this time, but I'm going to try. So we'll see how that goes. So I've got 696 in this category and 696 in this category. So let's get a page total. That's 1392 for this page. And before I go on, I want to talk about 2 things real quick that I want you to think about and put in your budget for May. And if you can't fit them in, or if it's a little too late, I want you to think about making a sinking fund for these for next year. So Mother's Day happens in May. So I want you to plan for Mother's Day. Think about yourself. Are you a mother, and what's your budget for Mother's Day? And who do you celebrate for Mother's Day? Your own mother, your mother-in-law? What woman do you have in your life that you celebrate as having taken that mother role in your life? And how do you celebrate? Do you go out to eat? Is that an added expense? I want you to total all of that up, put it in your May monthly budget, and I want you to make a sinking fund for that for next year. I don't want this Mother's Day to come out of your May budget every year. I want you to have a sinking fund for this for next year. So total all of that up and figure out how you're going to pay for that for this May. But next May, you're going to have a sinking fund for that. So we're going to strengthen your budget by creating a sinking fund for that. And you're going to put a little bit of money away every single month for Mother's Day for next year. The other big thing that happens a lot in May is graduations. There are some years where I don't have many graduations to celebrate, and some years where I have a lot of cousins. And one year I think I had like 4 or 5 graduations. And now there's like kindergarten graduations, 8th grade graduations, high school graduations, college graduations. There's all kinds of graduations to celebrate. Think about how many graduations you might possibly have to go to in May or June. get that built into your May budget. And then you might want to create a graduation budget for next year. Start thinking about next year as well. And you might need a sinking fund for that. Sometimes $100 will do it. You can just make that part of your gift fund. You have to think through how it works best for you. How many cousins do you have? Do you have a big family? Do you have a small family? What are the age ranges everybody's approaching? Think that through. Do you need to apply that for May, and do you need a sinking fund for next year? So start thinking about that. Let's go on to the next page. So we're still in May 2024. Okay, my water, sewer, trash comes out on the 7th of the month, and that's $150. We do budget billing, and we do budget billing for gas and electricity as well. If you are not on budget billing, I want you to pause this video, go get yourself on budget billing, and then come right back to this video. You need to get yourself on budget billing because it's really nice to have the same amount of money coming out every month for your paycheck. You can't be guessing how much money each bill is going to be every single month. Budget billing is based on your usage from the previous year. If you use less than what your usage was the year before, you may get a credit where you don't owe for a month, or you owe less for a month. You may get that. Or if your usage is over what it was the previous year, then they recalculate and you'll get a new budget billing amount for the next year. So let's total up this category. So that's $414 in housing. So another thing I want you to consider for your May budget or your sinking fund for May for next year is weddings. May is a huge wedding season, and along with that comes then anniversaries. Do you celebrate anniversaries in May? Is your anniversary in May? My anniversary is in May. We chose not to celebrate very big this year, but we do have a sinking fund for our anniversary typically. We're just going to go out to eat at a regular restaurant. We're not going to do anything special because we've had, a crazy year. If you've been on my channel for a minute, our year has been crazy and we had to rethink some priorities and things. But I know a friend of mine has 4 weddings to go to in May alone, and that is costly. Besides just the gifts. I mean, if you are close enough to that wedding, then you may have showers to go to, you may have bachelorette parties to go to, or bachelor parties to go to. Weddings can be expensive. So coming up on wedding season, think through that before you build your May budget. And also think through that for next year. You may need to have a sinking fund for that, especially if some of these people getting married now are close enough that you may want to do something for their anniversary for next year. So there's one thing to think of. So that was the third thing I want you to consider adding into your May budget. Let's talk about our food budget now. So we actually are really close. So it's not quite May yet. We haven't closed out our April budget, but I think we managed to stay under budget for our groceries this month in April, which would be huge because we have been over budget every single month for all year long, at least. And so we've been watching it really close and trying really hard. So our food budget overall, between all the groceries and the dining outs, that's $1,700 for a family of 6 who does not do prepackaged food. It's all fresh food from the side. I mean, we'll do a gluten-free frozen pizza here and there, but even when we're buying prepackaged stuff, it's the gluten-free kind, so it's more costly. So we do have a lot of our percentage of our budget goes to food, and we are okay with that. If we were to eat on beans and rice, we'd all be sick over here with all of our food sensitivities and allergies. So we choose to eat well, and that's where our money goes. So speaking of food, the fourth thing that I want you to consider when building your May monthly budget or sinking funds for next year is it's a sinking fund that I have called concert food or event food. So if you have kids or nieces and nephews or grandkids and you are going to concerts or competitions or sporting events, and after those or before those, things get a little crazy. So we had a robotics competition. It didn't let out until almost 6:30 and we were exhausted, and so we went out to eat. So this gave us some concert food budget or event food budget that we could go and get food, before or after an event that doesn't count towards our dining out budget. After a concert, after our band concert or an orchestra concert, we'll go get ice cream to celebrate. So I have an event food or concert food budget. I have one in December and I have one in May, because that's when all of the big concerts are for the year, or the the end of year musicals or the music programs for the elementary kids. All of that stuff tends to happen in December and May. I keep about $100 in it all year long, but I keep about $200 in that towards the end of the year because, again, we are a huge family. And so that just allows us to go out to eat in a pinch or go get some ice cream to celebrate after these events. But then when you have 4 kids and each of them has an event or 2, it really adds up. So that's something to think about for May, and to create a sinking fund if you don't have one for that. Okay. Moving on in our budget, so we've got transportation. I always keep that at $100, and that's been just about right. I hear that gas prices go up in the summer though, so I'm interested to keep a closer watch on that for this year. Let's total up this page. I feel like we might be getting really close to our total budget. I hope that I can keep that 10% in my lump sum sinking funds that I was talking about. Okay, we're gonna go to the personal category. We've got our cell phones that are due on the 11th, and that's $69. Shopping, we always give ourselves $150, and I'm super excited because I think we stayed under that budget too for April. Hair, I did not get my hair done in April as was planned, so I'm gonna get my hair done in May. Okay. This should say kids, events, and birthdays. This is where, so for my own kids, we have a sinking fund for each of their birthdays, but this is when they get invited to other events that might cost them money, or other kids' birthday parties. So I upped that a month or so ago to $150 from $100. Let's total this up. Okay, the 5th thing, speaking of kids' events and all of the things that you have to pay for with kids, in May, I want you to consider if you have to pay for yearbooks. There are some people pay for their yearbooks at the beginning of the year, and some people pay for their yearbooks at the end of the year. I always had a sinking fund for yearbooks, and I always had that due in August or September. But this year, I got rid of that, thinking we didn't need that anymore because we're at a new school, and now everything's due in May. So that one was on me, but I was able to move some things around. We were able to pay for yearbook. It is actually due, I think I had to buy those in March. So I took it out of the school supply fund and I created a yearbook fund now. But I know some of you will be coming across that same thing where you've got to buy yearbooks in May. So be thinking about yearbooks for May budget, and if you need to, create a sinking fund for that for next year, and think about if you're a September person, put that in a September sinking fund. Lifestyle, I've got my pet care stuff due on the 23rd, and that's $120. Entertainment, this is a mixed due date situation here that I just typically put my money into like an envelope at the first of the month when I do my weekly spending plan. So because the $71 will come out over the course of 5 different transactions throughout the month, it's just easier for me to treat that like an envelope and put it in the beginning of the month so I don't have to worry about it. And then education tuition, this will be my last tuition payment of the school year. And then what I'll do for the summer is I'll keep putting that aside to lessen the amount. Once August comes, I'll be able to make a bigger, I think that's what I'll do. I'm going to talk to my husband about that and see how he wants to handle it. But I would like to make a bigger dent in next year's tuition by saving that up now. Let's total up this category here. $933 here. And another thing while I'm talking about school, the 6th thing I would like you to consider for your May monthly budget is all of the end of year things that happen. The end of year bash, the end of year field trips, money for this, money for that. All of the things that happened at the end of the year can really add up. It's a little bit here and a little bit there. So consider what your kids are starting to bring permission slips home for and put that into your May monthly budget. think through what the end of your school year is like and how much, keep an eye on it and total it up and make yourself a sinking fund for that for next year so it won't mess up next year's May monthly budget. And the next thing along those lines is teacher appreciation gifts. So that would be the 7th thing. If you are one that gives teacher appreciation gifts, do you have a fund for that? I don't typically do end of year teacher appreciation gifts. I give a nice Christmas gift, but I haven't done end of year teacher appreciation gifts, but my sisters do. So if you are one that does, what's your budget for that? And where does that fit into your May monthly budget? And do you have a sinking fund for that? And if not, you need to get one for next year. So that was the 7th thing, teacher appreciation gifts. Okay, the health category, this one has been continuously messed up for the past couple of months for us, but I'm looking forward to, now that my HSA is fixed, that not being a problem. So this should be the only thing coming out of our health category for this whole month. I hope. Hope. Okay, so let's total up this page. $15.29 for a page total. Okay, our debt. So we've got our mortgage is due on the 1st. It's $14.97. Debt digging, that's for that phone. You can see that in our emergency fund update video. I can explain all about why I have some credit card debt now, which I hate, but we're working on it. I'm not gonna explain that again here. I've explained it enough in other places. You can see all about that in the emergency fund update video. Okay, but another thing for you to consider, I think this is number 8. I've lost track, but I think this is number 8 on the list of 10 things that I would like you to consider for your May monthly budget is holidays. You got Cinco de Mayo in there and Memorial Day in there. Are you celebrating these holidays? Cinco de Mayo, do you go out to eat? Do you have chips and salsa and margaritas and guacamole and all of that? Is that fit into your grocery budget? Does that fit into your dining out budget, or do you need a special budget for that? Also, Memorial Day, a lot of people will host barbecues, and it's not cheap to host people at your house. If you're going to a barbecue, what are you getting and bringing? And are you going camping? Around here in Missouri, people go down to the river and they'll go canoeing or floating down the river, and so that's an expense as well. So there's lots of things to consider. Where does that fit into your May monthly budget, and do you need a sinking fund for next year? Okay, insurance, we don't put anything to insurance because we do sinking funds for that. While we're on the topic of camping though, we've got camp fees. That is number 9 on the list of things I would like you to consider for your May monthly budget is camp fees. Are your kids going to summer camp? And that could be like going away to youth camp, or that could be like day camp while you're working. Have you paid for that? I know you've probably already put your down payment down, but have you paid for the full thing? And when is that due? Does that have to come out of your May budget? Do you have a sinking fund for that? And if that is something your family does, I strongly recommend a sinking fund for that for next year. So again, think through that. What's it going to cost? Create yourself a sinking fund and figure out how you're going to pay for that for this year. Okay, the what else category, we've got spouse spending, and he gets $50 for that. And then on the second Saturday of the month, which is the 11th this time, each of my kids gets their income and they get to sit down with mom and practice budgeting. And then I get a spending fund now too. I explained that a couple videos ago as well. So let's add up this category. 136. Okay, let's add up this page. 1696. Is that right? Did I miscalculate? Nope, that's right. That's 6. Okay, 1696. So the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about, so number 10 in the 10 things I wanted you to consider for your May monthly budget is any yard work that you're planning on doing, or gardening, or other home projects now that the weather is getting warm. I want you to start thinking through where that goes in your May monthly budget. And I want you to keep track of your expenses for that for this year and make a sinking fund for that for next year. All these yearly things, they are great for creating sinking funds for the next year. Just keep track of your expenses and budget for next year. So our next step in this, our planned income was what was our planned income? 6,958 was our planned income. So now we're going to go back through and see what our planned expenses are. I am guessing we went over and we're going to have to trim, but let's see. So we're going to add up our page totals. I've got 1696 here plus 1529 plus 2470 1392. Yeah, I'm over. So what we do, I've got my planned income and my planned expenses right now are $7,087. So I need to subtract that and see how much I need to trim out of my budget. $129. I really don't think I have room to cut anything out of my budget. We live pretty bare bones as it is. So I talked to my husband about this already, and I was struggling with the spending, and I talked about this with my budget babes on Sunday actually, and it was unanimous. Everybody wants me to keep my Megan spending category. I was ready to get rid of it because I normally don't spend any money, and now that I have a spending category, I'm buying things I normally wouldn't buy, but apparently everybody says that's okay and that's good for me, and I can still save up what I don't spend. And you know, I get it. There's freedom in having a little bit of money to spend, and I'm making wise decisions. If I was going bonkers with my spending money, then I think I would listen to that that ugly voice in my head that's like, don't spend money, you can't do that. But I think because I'm staying within that $50 limit, I'm doing okay. Can't trim out of there. All of this is an actual bill. I hate to take out of this because we usually come pretty close to at least to 100 there. So, and then I'm definitely getting my hair done this month because I have the appointment made. Shopping, no, we always come close to the shopping budget, so we can't cut that. I really don't think, so all of these like we've been going over in groceries. We are usually right on with all the dining outs. Those are all actual bills. I don't think we can trim. I think this was just a goal that I had that I wanted to try and see if I could do. So my goal was to put 10% of our total income into our lump sum sinking funds. And there was no rhyme or reason. It's just a number that I wanted to try and see if I could get to, which right now we just can't do quite that much. So what happens soon, my husband will he's got his PLPC right now, so he is under supervision for his counseling license, and once he gets to a certain point, then he won't have to be paying for supervision, and he will have, you know, all of his income be his income, and he won't have to be paying a percentage. So we will be getting a raise eventually. We're not going to be at this income level forever. If I can just have patience, we'll be able to apply a lot more to our savings. And we are putting things into savings that just aren't in our, like pre-tax, in our 401k and our Roth IRA and all of that. All those contributions are being made to the fullest extent that they can. So I'm not going to sweat this right now, and I'm just going to be patient. Let's see what this number is if we take out that 129. 567 is not bad to be putting into lump sums. That's still savings, and it's how much, what percentage is that? 567 divided by, so I wanted 10% and I'm getting 8. That's not bad. That's not bad. I'm going to let that go. I'm still going to try. I'm still going to be looking for ways. And with our Transfer Tuesdays and all of the other income sources that we get, we definitely are getting 10%. It's just not from this income in our monthly budget. So we'll be all right. I just wanted to try it, something I tried. Thanks for bearing with me while I tried something new. Okay, now let's try and adding up all of our page totals and see how we do. So we get 1263, 247, 6958. So now our planned income was $6,958. Our planned expenses are $6,958. The difference equals 0. So we are right on budget now. We were over budget, so we cut our planned spending somewhere. We cut that out of our lump sum sinking funds, which I was okay. I was just trying something new. If we were under budget, I would have gone back and put more into our sinking funds so that every dollar has a name. Now at the end of the month, we'll come back and we'll do something similar with our actuals. So we'll put over in this column what we actually spent in every category, and we'll see what our actual income was versus our actual expenses and how we did for the month and what we can transfer over to savings if we have extra to transfer. One more thing, I want to give you a little bonus on things to plan for coming up. So things to plan for coming up that are coming up soon for summer even, and not just May, our vacations, Father's Day, and other outdoor activities. With the warmer weather comes more outdoor activities, things that make us want to go outside, go to the zoo, the water parks, farmers markets, getting our produce from the fruit stands, which can sometimes be cheaper, but also you might be spending a little bit more money because you're going to the fruit stand and you're buying more than you might have at the grocery store. So things to consider there. And one other thing that was mentioned at Budget Babes, actually farmers markets and fruit stands were brought up by some of the Budget Babes when we met this weekend. But one of their genius things that they brought up that I was so excited to hear that I never thought about was iced coffees. So during the winter, you can make your own coffee at home and you'll be just fine and happy. But are you talented at making iced coffees at home? And will you drink a hot coffee in the summer? Are you going to be one that is now got to build into their budget, stopping by a coffee shop every day to get an iced coffee? So are you going to learn how to make a good iced coffee? Or are you going to build iced coffees into your budget for the summer? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for sticking around. Build your monthly budget. Let me know how it goes and keep going. You've got this.